Okay, you guys, we really need to talk because new reports suggest that the picture-perfect relationship between Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively may be crumbling behind the scenes. It's not just gossip anymore, and there are serious signs of a growing rift. Insiders close to the couple have revealed that Ryan is now refusing to work with Blake on any future film or television projects. They've stopped appearing together in public, opting instead to keep a noticeable distance. No red carpets, no interviews, no playful Instagram stories. It's as if they're working overtime to avoid being seen as a team. Sources claim this separation isn't personal, at least not entirely. Instead, it seems to be a calculated move, especially by Ryan. His camp reportedly believes that keeping his professional image separate from Blake's ongoing legal drama is critical right now. And once you hear what's been unfolding behind the scenes, you'll understand why. So let's get into that. At the center of this unraveling situation is the highly anticipated and now highly controversial film It Ends With Us. Blake Lively stars in the lead role, but the project has become a public relations nightmare, embroiled in lawsuits, allegations, and very damaging headlines. Even though Ryan wasn't directly involved in the film, the ripple effect from this legal chaos is now touching every corner of their personal and professional lives. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Now, this is where things start to get really complicated, and frankly, a little shocking. In the middle of all the swirling headlines and PR chaos surrounding It Ends With Us, Blake Lively made a serious move that would change the trajectory of the entire situation. She officially filed a harassment and retaliation complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, naming none other than director Justin Baldoni. But what happened before that complaint hit the public eye is where this story takes a dark and unexpected turn. Behind the scenes, Blake was allegedly orchestrating a strategic legal maneuver, so quiet and so calculated that most people didn't even realize it was happening until it was too late. Here's what we now know. Back in September of last year, a company called Vanzan quietly filed a lawsuit in Manhattan's Supreme Court. On paper, the lawsuit seemed vague and almost meaningless. It didn't name Baldoni directly, and instead accused unnamed individuals of damaging the company's reputation. Now, here's the catch. Vanzan is owned by Blake Lively, and just 4 days after filing that mysterious lawsuit, Vanzan issued a subpoena to Stephanie Jones, Justin Baldoni's former publicist. That subpoena demanded access to personal communications, and Jones complied. What she handed over was reportedly a treasure trove of internal text messages and documents, communications involving not just Baldoni, but also Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and multiple parties involved with the film. Suddenly, Blake's team had access to crucial evidence, all without having to notify the opposing legal team in a traditional discovery process. And then, in a move that raises even more eyebrows, the lawsuit? It was abruptly withdrawn in December. No follow-up, no explanation, no trial, nothing. And that just happened to be 1 day before Blake filed her official harassment complaint against Baldoni in California. Let that timing sink in for a moment. Legal experts are now calling this a sham lawsuit, a term used when a legal action is filed not to seek justice, but to achieve some other strategic goal. In this case, critics argue that the lawsuit was used as a loophole, a backdoor to collect sensitive evidence without triggering alarm bells. Some attorneys are labeling this move ethically questionable. Others say it's an example of high-stakes celebrity legal warfare, where reputation, timing, and control of the narrative matter just as much as the law itself. And if that sounds shady, buckle up, because what's coming next, it only gets deeper. Now let's talk about something that's stirring up serious conversation online. And it has everything to do with the image Ryan Reynolds has carefully built over the years, and how it might be unraveling. For the longest time, Ryan has been Hollywood's king of witty banter and cheeky Instagram captions. Fans have adored his sense of humor, especially when it comes to his wife, Blake Lively. But lately, people are starting to wonder, was it all really just playful teasing or something deeper? Let's rewind. Over the years, Ryan has made a habit of posting unflattering or blurry photos of Blake. on her birthday, on their anniversary, and during other milestone moments. At first glance, it seemed like harmless fun. The internet laughed along. They were the quirky, adorable couple who didn't take themselves too seriously. Right? But now, in the middle of this mounting legal chaos and rumors of tension behind closed doors, those old posts are taking on a completely different meaning. Critics and fans alike are beginning to re-examine his behavior, and some are suggesting that those not-so-flattering photos may have been a subtle power play all along, a way for Ryan to take the spotlight, even on Blake's big days, while keeping her slightly out of focus, both literally and figuratively. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some are accusing Ryan of having a deeper issue, a need to always be the bigger star, the center of attention, the one in control. And when your wife is Blake Lively, an A-list actress with massive public appeal in her own right, that dynamic becomes a lot more complicated. It's not the first time this theory has surfaced. Fans with long memories are drawing parallels to Ryan's previous marriage to Scarlett Johansson. That relationship reportedly ended, in part because of similar struggles. Whispers that Ryan couldn't handle being with someone equally, if not more, famous. The idea that Ryan might be pulling away from Blake, not just emotionally or professionally, but publicly, is sparking a major backlash online. People are questioning whether his carefully curated public persona as the funny, supportive husband was masking insecurities or a need for control. The question isn't just what is Ryan doing now, it's what has he been doing all along? And why didn't we notice it sooner? Keep watching, because in the next section we're diving into the leaked video footage that might finally explain why this entire situation exploded and what it could mean for everyone involved. One of the most pivotal moments in this escalating legal drama came when unedited video footage from the set of It Ends With Us was leaked to the public, and what's in it is fueling both outrage and speculation. The clip, which was never intended for public viewing, shows Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni during a romantic scene, but instead of the seamless chemistry you'd expect from a major film, what you see is something else entirely. Discomfort, hesitation, and clear signs that something wasn't right. According to an intimacy coordinator who reviewed the footage, Blake appears visibly uncomfortable. The scene involves a kiss, but the body language tells a very different story. In the video, Blake can be seen pulling away multiple times, and there's no indication that the moment was rehearsed, coordinated, or mutually agreed upon beforehand, all of which are standard practices on any professional set, especially during scenes involving physical contact. This wasn't a case of missed cues or improvisation gone wrong. The expert described the scene as poorly handled and suggested that the lack of clear communication between the actors could point to serious breakdowns behind the scenes. Blake's legal team wasted no time. They labeled the footage damning and claimed it directly supports her harassment allegations against Baldoni. From their perspective, it's a smoking gun, visual proof that boundaries were crossed and professionalism was lost. But on the other side, Justin Baldoni's attorney is fighting back hard.
The reason it's going to get worse and worse is people are going to be more comfortable telling the truth. And Justin Baldoni, in this position of being called sexual predators, sexual harassers, they have no choice but to go all the way.
He claims the clip is being taken out of context, that it's a manipulative PR stunt aimed at painting his client in the worst possible light. According to him, what's seen in the footage is not evidence of misconduct, but rather a weaponized edit strategically used to sway public opinion in the middle of a very public legal battle. So who's telling the truth? That's the question everyone's asking, but this isn't the only twist. What if we told you this video might just be the tip of the iceberg? And that the real scandal lies in how Blake's team got their hands on the evidence in the first place? Stick around, because the next section reveals the deeper, more secretive legal tactic that's got lawyers across Hollywood sounding the alarm. While most of the headlines have focused on the legal chaos swirling around Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, there's someone else who's been quietly, but very deliberately, working behind the scenes. Ryan Reynolds. Far from being a passive observer in all of this, Ryan is reportedly taking an active role in controlling the narrative and protecting what matters most to him: his brand, his legacy, and his billion-dollar business empire. According to sources close to the situation, Ryan has thrown his support behind a gag order, a legal attempt to silence Justin Baldoni's attorney, who's been speaking out in the media. That lawyer has been giving interviews, releasing statements, and trying to sway public opinion. But Ryan, he allegedly wants it all to stop. Why? Because this is no longer just about courtroom drama or creative disagreements. For Ryan, the stakes are massive. This is a man who's carefully built a reputation, not just as a beloved actor, but as a global entrepreneur. He owns a production company, has major brand endorsements, co-owns a soccer team, and is involved in high-profile ventures from mobile carriers to alcohol brands. And in Hollywood, reputation is currency. A single scandal, even one he's not directly involved in, could send shockwaves through his business ventures. We're talking potential losses in the millions, broken partnerships, and closed doors in places where Ryan has always had access. From his point of view, the more this story spirals in the press, the more dangerous it becomes, not just for Blake's image, but for his own future. Think about it. If Hollywood begins to view Ryan as someone entangled in messy lawsuits, bad press, and internal dysfunction, how long before he stops being seen as safe to work with? But here's the kicker. If Ryan is going this far to protect his public image, what else is happening behind the curtain? In the final section, we're pulling back the curtain on a secretive lawsuit, a mysterious company, and a legal maneuver so calculated, it's raising red flags across the entire entertainment industry. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. If you thought the drama was peaking with leaked footage and gag orders, think again. Because what's possibly the most explosive element of this entire situation has been happening quietly, beneath the surface, with virtually no public attention, until now. At the center of it all is a company you've probably never heard of, Vanzan. On paper, Vanzan is just another Delaware-based LLC, but behind the scenes, it's much more than that. It's reportedly a legal instrument used by Blake Lively's team in a move so strategic, so shadowy, it's raising serious concerns not just in the entertainment industry, but among legal experts too. Let's break it down. Delaware is famous for its ultra-friendly business laws. It offers something few other states do: extremely strong privacy protections, minimal disclosure requirements, and an almost impenetrable corporate veil. That's why so many high-net-worth individuals and major companies set up shop there, not for operations, but for secrecy and flexibility. And it's likely not a coincidence that Vanzan was established there. This company, allegedly under Blake's control, filed what seemed like a vague throwaway lawsuit in Manhattan. No names were listed, no clear allegations, no media attention. But the real goal, not the lawsuit itself, it was the power that lawsuit gave them. Because with that legal action came the ability to issue subpoenas, powerful demands for private communications and documents. And that's exactly what they did. They subpoenaed Justin Baldoni's former publicist, gaining access to incredibly sensitive material, texts, emails, and more, all without directly involving Baldoni's legal team at that moment. Once the evidence was in hand, the lawsuit was dropped, like it had never happened. 1 day later, Blake filed her formal harassment complaint in California, armed with information she'd quietly collected through this maneuver. And while this may not technically be illegal, it's a legal gray area that has many calling foul. Legal analysts are comparing the strategy to hacking the justice system, a way to bend the rules, gather evidence in secret, and strike when your opponent is unprepared. It's the kind of move that leaves even seasoned attorneys stunned. Because here's the scary part. If this kind of tactic becomes normalized, what's to stop other celebrities, influencers, or companies from using similar methods to target their rivals, silence critics, or build cases in total secrecy? And if that doesn't make you rethink everything you thought you knew about Hollywood, it should. This story is still unfolding, and there are likely more twists to come. So what do you think? Was Blake's legal team just being smart and strategic? Or did they cross a line? Is Ryan protecting his wife? or just protecting himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you made it this far, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, because trust me, this is far from over.